Hi, everybody. This is Nate. I am very happy to have you here for this show, which is the July 2025 predictions. I really want to thank everyone who left a question for the time you took to think of a question, writing it down, and giving to me. So I want to thank you, and that's why I will say your name before the question so that you're being recognized for doing that. A couple announcements. It will be very quick. Um, I have a personal live readings show live this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern for members, and on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern for everyone, absolutely everyone. Usually this show is on Sunday, but I'm doing it on Friday due to summer travels. So during July, a little bit of August, you'll see some of the Sunday show being at different times, usually on the Saturday. It's just that I have a little bit of travel. And so as soon as we get to the beginning of August, things should get back on track. Um, the membership, I highly recommend the membership. It starts at 2.99 a month, and we are in a small group every week, usually, where you can ask personal questions or even political questions. It's called Ask Me Anything. And currently, we have a small group of online at the same time when I do my lives, about 30 people. So usually get the chance to get one or even two questions answered. So if you're interested by the membership, you have to go on a laptop, not on a phone. And if you go to my homepage, you can click on join. You also get access to shows that are just for members. So it's a little bit of a benefit for the membership, but I believe it's really worth it. Um, I'm also doing a workshop on July 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern. But if you can be there at that time, I'm also doing recorded, so you can download it at any time. And it's a money and abundance manifestation workshop of 2 hours. I will explain all the techniques that I use myself. That come from that draw from different disciplines, whether it's crystals, whether it's herbs, whether it's meditation, whether it's using the power of the moon, whether it's feng shui. I use kind of a series of different tools and systems to help you bringing more abundance and financial abundance into your life. And I explained that over a 2 hours workshop. I have a video on my channel that explains in about 5 minutes kind of how the workshop works, and you can find the link there if you want to register. So that was my announcement. Finally, like for every one of those prediction shows, there is a free reading to win. So someone will be selected to win a free reading. I will announce the person who won the free reading in June at the end of this show. And if you want to be entered, it's very simple. You need to be subscribed. So subscribe, like, and comment. Subscribe, like, comment, and that's all you need to be entered. And I pick randomly one person that will announce for this particular show in August, and you win a free reading with me. So that's pretty exciting. All right, I am ready to get started, and I will start with the question from Engalag, who's asking, will Trump or Governor Abbott take any responsibility for the tragic death from the floods in Texas? How will the people of Texas react to the scapegoating? A U.S. congressman's daughter was at a camp, but somehow his daughter was evacuated from Camp Mystic. How did he know the dangers of the flooding to save a child, but not the others? So, a couple points here in this particular question. Do I really see Trump or Abbott take any responsibility? I think you already get a sense of that. No, I don't feel that they will admit any of those responsibility. I get the sense, looking at it psychically, that there were clearly an element of surprise, but there was also an element of prevention in terms of the investment to prevent this that could have been done. In other words, investing in the security element, in um, the systems of alerts, using different system. Basically, like in any tragedy, a lot could have been done with proper investment. I feel like the people of Texas are really gutted. They're really mourning all these losses. This is very, very severe. Um, I feel like there will be definitely a sense of considering that maybe the state could have done more, but I don't see these turning into a big, gigantic like challenge either to Trump or Abbott. Um, the U.S. congressman's daughter that you're referring to, Engelag, I believe is Representative Flugger. And I feel like I believe I read that it was two girls, not just one daughter. Yes, they were evacuated from Camp Mystic. Uh, how did they know? I got the sense here that they got early information. Some parents, not just Congress people, but had a little bit more of an alert sooner than others. And I felt like they were able to save a few children, not many, obviously. I believe the cousins of the children passed away. So even in their own family, they were not really able to save everyone. Um, I felt like there was a few people that had early information. They might have passed to a few people, but everything was done such in a hurry that it didn't really help. But that really points to failures in the communication system. I feel like when I look at this particular issue, the main question is obviously not the weather itself, but the alert system and what could have been done better there. So I think this is what we're seeing for this particular problem. Obviously, all our thoughts, prayers to the victims and their families for this tragedy. I wanted to start with this. Coco Channel 27. Will Adam Kissinger and Liz Cheney make a comeback in politics when 45 is out of office? Are they helping behind the scenes to get him impeached? I do not feel that they're helping behind the scenes to get him impeached now. I feel that they might be involved. We'll talk about that later. I do feel like there will be an impeachment for Trump, but I don't feel that they're working on that at the moment. I feel like they're both waiting for the right time to enter again the political scene and being more of a support when the time is right. When the time is right, I feel like it's after the midterms, where there's really a majority to block all these issues. Um, the next, and to block Trump and from all the things that he's been doing lately. The next question is from Robert Tarras, 4607. Will there be free and fair elections in the US 2026 to 2029? Yes, I believe that there will be free and fair elections. Of course, we know that from time to time there's some election issues or there's voter suppression. Yes, some of that can be expected as well. But by and large, I believe that there will be those elections and they will happen, including the most important one that I mentioned earlier, which is the midterm in November 26. Monica Buller. Hi, Nate. I'm wondering, do you see Trump succeed in revoking citizenship from naturalized citizens? No, I obviously know that they're doing a lot of things right now, immigration related and deportations, but I don't see revoking citizenship from naturalized citizen at a scale. There may be some very random situations here and there, but generally speaking, I don't see that happening. Sister Sheba, will Trump and the GOP suffer for cutting NOAA, NOAA and the weather service and spending FEMA money on concentration camps and golfing. So, will there be impacts for Trump and the GOP for all those cuts, whether it's recovery services, weather services, FEMA? Generally speaking, I don't see the MAGA people. This is like the non-MAGA people, Democrats, are completely aware of the relationships between removing people from the weather service and the impact on, weather events. And we'll talk about that later. But I do get the sense here that the 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 MAGA crowd, the GOP voters see really the connection. They don't believe in climate change to start with. So we're facing a little bit of a wall here. But again, something that I keep repeating, we don't need to convince all those people. If only 5% can see the light and really see the impact, that's enough to shift. That's enough to to give majorities. 10, 5%, 15%, a small portion will make a huge difference in the vote. Dan, artist painter, can you please look to see if the US can survive the Trump fascist crackdown while we wait for the midterms? Yes, we will survive, but certainly it's going to be very hard for a number of people. I mentioned that whether it's the economy, this is deportation, this is jobs, this is federal jobs. Surviving is really, it's putting the bar pretty low. Um, Thriving, certainly not. Surviving, yes. That's kind of what I mean by that. Daniel Baksevich, will Anonymous help bring down Trump? No, really. I don't feel like Anonymous will be the reason that Trump will be brought down. I feel like Anonymous has sometimes some interesting takes or information, but it hasn't really materialized, and I don't see it materializing in something that would change the dynamic, really, really bring it down altogether. So sorry, I don't see that. Carmen Butts, what do you see for the children of Trump once he crosses over? Will they leave the US or continue to grieve? I don't really see them leaving the US. I see them traveling, of course, but I don't see them leaving the US. I see them inheriting a lot of the Trump money. I was talking a few months ago that Trump has worked on his will and they will get I feel like already some decisions have been made in terms of who gets what, and I don't see them, being in that much trouble. I'm sorry. I feel like they will benefit from his money. Currently, Trump's making money on crypto, and that is the money that I see coming from him to his children, even though I see problems for crypto, but that still gives them enough to play with and to benefit from. Star, if 45 leaves before the end of his term, what can we expect from Vance, the American oligarchs, and Project 2025? So, if for whatever reason, Trump leaves before the end of his term, and I'm going to talk about that, I do feel that Vance, the oligarch, Project 25 will continue to push Project 2025. That's really their agenda. It doesn't matter if this is Trump, Vance, could be anyone, Ted Cruz, who cares? They would push that same agenda because that's really what they want. It's not that they want Trump, they want the agenda to be pushed forward. So it doesn't change the agenda. Lily Indigorio, do you see any Supreme Court justices being held accountable for the passing of specific bills that hurt the democracy of the country in the US? No, I don't see them being held accountable for passing bills or allowing bills hurting the democracy. But I do feel some Supreme Court justices will be held accountable for forms of corruption. So it's not because of the agenda that they're letting through that Technically, they're right, even though they're supposed to be neutral and apply the law aside from their point of views. But corruption, certainly, and that will come forward. Um, Barbara Guevara, will Stephen Miller and Mark Johnson be charged for any crimes? First of all, Stephen Miller, I do get this sense like there's an exit from the White House. That's like the energy that I've been getting on him for a while now. Mike Johnson is very smart, and for entertainment purposes only, there are crimes that are committed, but they're also both of them very smart in how to protect themselves. And so I don't see anything in the short term that seem to show that they're charged for crimes. That doesn't mean crimes have not been committed, but they're very smart in the way that they do this. I feel some problems though. Again, it's like corruption, or also there could be some situation with insider trading. But I don't see that soon, though. I really don't see that soon. Corey Ricchetti, do you see Trump being impeached or dying in office? So that is a very good question. I've always said, I get this question every time. I've always said that I see Trump doing his full term, um, unless he has a health issue. Okay. And that health issue can come anytime. We know that there's a lot of, I mean, we can see the decline. We can see, I've done many shows on that where it feels like those health issues are coming really soon. Dying, I don't think you can predict death for someone, but being impeached, yes. If he doesn't die before, I feel that he will be impeached, and that would be right after the midterms. Karen Keating, do you see any Supreme Court justices retiring, stepping down so that a younger far-right person gets confirmed? No, I don't see that. I just, at least in a 1 year, 2 years, something along that time. And that's really what I see here. I feel like they want to stay Supreme Court justices. And so I don't see them stepping down with like some sort of agreement that a younger far-right person would go there. Um, will the next Democratic government expand the courts and implement term limits? There will be a reform of the Supreme Court with the next Democratic government. Karen Keating again, with voting anomalies coming to the forefront. Yes, we're aware of some of those. Will more state counties perform hand recounts to prove the 2024 election was rigged? I feel we're going to get more and more information that is coming about some of the irregularities on the 2024. I'm not hot on the hand recounts. Like, I'm not even sure that the hand recounts for paper ballots would be really that useful, or maybe it's not where my mind is. If issues are there, I feel we will see more of the issues in the tabulation than anything else. So the hand recounts doesn't really connect with me. I feel like the electronic data, the processing, that's where there will be more information to come. But again, I don't see that being the reason that would take down Trump. I feel more of a health issue. Okay. I feel more of a health issue than this. I feel like those voting anomalies participate. For example, they participate to an impeachment. They participate to maybe MAGA people, that 5% that we're talking about moving on the other side. So it's not like it doesn't matter. It matters a whole lot to prove the reality, to prove what happened. Truth is very important. Is that what takes him down? Is a different question. And I don't feel like that's what it is. I see more as health. Kerry Dixon, do you see Elon Musk causing Trump any problems? Is he afraid because of Starlink contracts? I don't see him losing the Starlink government contract. And he will cause problems. He will help potentially some Democrats. He will go against some of the Trump candidates and MAGA. So yes, he will cause problems. The new party, no, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Dan, artist painter, can you please look at how the cards show us currently on the potential for a huge blue wave in the midterms? Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a big blue wave. Will it be at least as big of 2018? I feel like it's kind of that range, much bigger, I'm not sure. Start with Gina. How do the Canadian and the tariffs with the US trade deals go? So you've seen that Trump's push out some of those trade deals deadlines, pushed to July to August. So Canada, I was very disappointed with Canada to scrap in the negotiation the digital service tax. But let's see with the cards how the negotiation between Canada and the US will go for the trade deals or the tariffs. Canada and the US. Not a pinnacle. So small money, like it's a slow process, but there's like a little bit of money. I have the Three of Swords, which is like there's a disappointment. Four of Swords, not much going on. And I feel like this is a slow card. It talks about money and a slow card. I feel like there's not going to be much progress. I feel like this is like, it feels like long and longer negotiation to me. Golden Chariot, will there be a November 26th election as planned? Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Patricia Kelly, will the northeast of the US, particularly New York City, be affected by a catastrophic weather event such as hurricane, earthquake? I'm not getting earthquake, but I'm getting flood and water. It could come from a hurricane, but I'm getting flood and water, more like rain, and water for New York, that area, the northeast. Late feels like fall 2025. Emilio Martinez. Hello, Nate. As you know, the dollar has fallen over 10% over the currency, other currencies, like the euro. Interest rates have jumped to higher levels. This has been in response to the lack of responsible financial management from Trump and the GOP. Do you see more economic problems increasing in the second half of the year? Yes, the economy will go down. I see stock market going down. I see inflation going up. I see the dollar go down, and I see the interest rates go up. Definitely not down. Trump's want the Federal Reserve to bring them down. No, I don't see that. Will the dollar lose its status as the world reserve currency? I don't see that happening. Um, Wanda Garrett, when will Trump be gone? I feel like it's going to be a health issue that's going to take him down for good. When I feel like it could happen as early as this year or in the next couple of years, but as early as this year. Um, Sorry, I didn't take the name of the person who asked, so I apologize. Will Tom Homan be held accountable for all the lies and paste he's caused? Not legally, but his karma, his karmic destiny, it's gonna be absolutely horrible. I see a lot of problem for Tom Homan. He looks like this horrible person, and there's gonna be an acceleration. Ten of Swords, like this could be a significant health issue for Tom Homan as well. I see, I see a problem here. I see a very big karmic. It's happening sooner than rather than later with the Chariot and the Eight of Wands. There could be even an issue with like a vehicle, an accident with a vehicle. I feel that. 23 Magnus, as the economy gets worse, when will it get better? I feel like the worst is going to be summer, fall, winter, and really slightly recovering next year as we get to maybe like May, June, but I don't see anything good really before the midterms. Maybe I feel slightly better in the spring next year, but the next 6, 8 months, not good. You mentioned a stock market crash in July, August. Yes, and you've seen like there's been some big drops with the announcement the um of the tariffs, and then the crypto next year. I see a problem, a crash with crypto next year. Cheryl Belu, sorry. What will be the outcome of the Trump administration suing federal judges in Maryland? I feel like that's going to go to the Supreme Court and it's going to take a lot of time to be looked at. Um, JLC, hello Nate, do you still foresee a dramatic drop in the US stock market? I said that yes. The economy is already in a depression in my point of view, and it's not going to improve. Amadine, Elon Musk's father is in Moscow. Is he preparing the ground for his son's arrival? No, I think this is more about business dealings, helping Elon's and his business in Russia. There is a rise in radicalism, particularly among young people in Europe. Are you seeing an extreme drift in certain countries? Absolutely, all over Europe, France, UK, Germany, Netherlands, Hungary, Portugal, yes, all over Europe. Will Musk play a role? He is already playing a role, funding some of those parties like the AfD. Russia continues to advance in eastern Ukraine. They have made some progress there. There's been some attacks against Kiev. Do you see a reversal of the trend? Yes. And I feel like there's going to be some attacks from Ukraine to the US. They're preparing some attacks here, like they did with the big one in Siberia. So there should be some reversal there. Um, Netanyahu is in the US for the third time in 6 months. Can we be reasonably optimistic about the resolution in the Middle East? Yes, I will mention that later, but I feel like there will be a ceasefire in Gaza, but it's still gonna take a bit of time for that. This summer, I feel. Sharon, everything, Sharon K, everything changes so fast, it's difficult to know what to ask. I'd like to know what will the US and the world be like around a year from now? Will the various conflicts such as Israel, Gaza, Russia, Ukraine ended? Israel, Gaza, Israel, Iran, Russia, Ukraine. I feel like there will be some ceasefires, and I feel like those ceasefires would not be stable. In other words, there's a ceasefire, but then there's some attacks. There's another ceasefire, there's some attacks. I don't feel like it's stable at all. As far as the US, I feel like this time we will be still in a recession where there will be the pressure from the inflation being felt. And so I feel like economically difficult. Um, and I feel like if we feel tired now, we'll feel even more tired next year. Um, Braveheart, are we going to have another pandemic? I do see pandemic-like problems like bird flu, potentially COVID in the fall, late spring, fall of this year, something that seems to touch the food, I feel. Melissa Jean, my grandfather of those three US Marines who was beaten, paper sprayed, and detained. Will he get justice? And will he get justice? My grandfather of those three US Marines who was totally beaten up so bad. My grandfather, what will happen to him? Will he get justice? I feel that, yeah, something's gonna happen here. The Ace of Wands, some action, legal action as well with the Ace of Sword, the stars. I feel like there's gonna get ju it should be getting justice. I get the sense like this has made such an impact, and there's like legal organizations who want to fight for him and help him. So yes. Susan Parker, many MAGA representatives and senators have not held any town halls with their constituents. Others have held them, but do not answer questions or answer their concerns, like telling them, they just tell them how Trump is and whatnot. Some people think this is because they believe their jobs are safe. Yeah, they feel like their jobs are safe, no matter what. That leads to the question, is Trump planning to create a nationwide crisis event to cancel the midterms? No. I don't see that happening. But kind of going back to those um, Republican Congress people, senators, and I feel like they're completely delusional, and they're gonna get the backlash of the bill, the ugly bill. Jenny Bean, can you look at what does the 2026 State of the Union address look like? Usually they have it in the first quarter of the year. Who's giving the speech? How the Democrats feel about it? How Republicans feel about it? How US citizens and the world looking? So let's pull some cards to get a sense of of the State of the Union speech, the energies around it. It is very interesting that I'm not really visualizing Trump, but I'm not visualizing anyone. So there's a question mark here on who's doing the State of the Union. Is there a State of the Union? But I want to see what the cards say. US State of the Union. What's gonna happen? Interesting card. Five of Cups. And this is interesting because you have the capital here. So something, there's a sense of loss to start with. Ten of Wands, a burden. State of the Union next year. And another Eight of Cups. So that's kind of what I was feeling here. It's like there's like a lot of problems. There's someone leaving. There's a disappointment with the capital. That feels very, very strange to me. And you saw me shuffling and pulling cards. Um, I feel like there's a sense of loss. It could be someone, obviously Trump or someone else not there. That would be significant so that the State of the Union doesn't happen or is delayed, and there's significant problems. So there's something off with this energy. Um, I'm trying to understand what could be this loss other than obviously we all think of Trump leaving, but it's not necessarily that. It could be, what could it be? Like something has happened. So I get justice here. So is there like no State of the Union because something happened with the court and something is being held up? That could be another situation. The sense of loss could be something is stopped, something is not happening, the flow is not working. I see justice, I see a loss, I see a burden and problems. Something doesn't sound right here. Okay, but I'm not getting more details, but they're just an idea that something is not really happening as maybe we think. Um, Audrey Miller, do I see natural disasters in July? Yes. I've always, in July, I felt like we're going to see hurricanes, we're going to see floods, we're going to see fires. Um, mm, Earthquake, I'm feeling more August, but July, I see more fires. Fire, water, fire, water. That's what they're telling me. Fire, water, wind. Yes. So, do your guides see? This is a question from Lupe. Do you guys see David Jolly winning the governor's race in Florida? Well, I did the reading on that, and I was actually saying good cards. I didn't necessarily see a win, but what I got was is getting good cards, is getting money, is getting resources. It feels like a long shot, but actually the energy starts very well. We'll have to read later, but it is a Republican that's running as a Democrat. This is someone who seems to have a dynamic, good dynamic behind him. Adi Gaddy, what will be the outcome for the big, beautiful bill? The outcome for me is a lot of resentment in the population, in the MAGA voters that are going to be impacted by the cuts. Regional hospital, Medicaid. I feel like there's going to be some revolt, like some even protest on their ends, at least, yes, against. Actually, I feel like they see it like they can connect the bill to Trump, which is really good. Yeah. So I feel like it's gonna make enough people upset. Again, back to that 5-10% of people we want to move. We don't want to, of course, we would love to everyone to see the truth, but I feel like this is gonna be um helping people to see the light. Patricia Quattrocchi, Eileen Cannon dismissed Trump's classified document case. Will Trump reward her by appointing her to the Supreme Court? I felt like Trump promised her and owes her an appointment, but but I don't see any movement soon, like I said before, on the Supreme Court justice to leave. So I'm not seeing happening, but I feel like it's been promised. A world citizen. Hope you're well. Will proof ever be really revealed about 45 being a pedophile for entertainment purposes only? Yes, because I feel like we already know that. Like this is not new. And some of those informations are already out there. I feel like it's more the question on when the information turn into a problem for him. And that I feel like we have to wait because as president, I just don't see him able to be taken down by this or brought down by this, even though it's horrible. Um, Astro Jewel of the Tarot. The Supreme Court ruled that Trump can continue gutting federal government with mass layoffs. Why did they rule this? Because some members of the some justices basically benefit from um they benefit. It's the corruption and it somehow benefit them through influence or power or or even money for entertainment purposes only. Heidi Dietrich. Um, will ICE expand its presence with greater abductions and intimidation tactics? Yes, because ICE got significantly more money and expansion included in the bill, and this will provoke retaliations and violence to the protesters. Yes, absolutely. Melissa, will the ICE detention facility in South Texas be held accountable? There are reports of inhumane conditions, fighting over water. Cruelty is so hard to stomach. True. Please tell me this abuse will be stopped soon and that the private company that oversees this private detention facility be sued. Justice will prevail. Okay, I'm gonna pull some cards, but I feel like there's gonna be lawsuits. Like there's gonna be like it's gonna go to court. The ICE detention facility in South Texas. What's gonna happen there? The ICE detention facility. They're even like, isn't there like children there? Money. The private company makes money. This is just situation is just horrible, broken heart. But the question is, will there be justice in the end? Will this go to court and there be justice? Ten of Cups. I feel like there's gonna be, yeah, a lawsuit and there's gonna be some relief there. But I have to say, I have to tell you, this feels like this is gonna take time. This is not happening soon enough. Um, we've seen Monica Salita. We've seen Luigi Mangiane's constitutional rights trampled upon by an entire cast of characters from the beginning of his legal proceedings. Will he receive a fair trial in the three jurisdictions which is charged? U.S. federal government, New York State, and Pennsylvania. This is the person who murdered the CEO of United Healthcare, Luigi Mangione. Okay, so will cards tell me about the trial of Luigi Mangione. Wheel of Fortune, the Ten of Cups. That feels like Six of Pentacles. That's interesting. Giving and receiving. Will the trial be fair? I feel like the trial be fair. The Queen of Wands here, there's maybe a woman here involved as a judge, but that doesn't really tell us the outcome. Um, yeah, to the question of fair trial, it feels like yes. Now, the outcome for him, I obviously don't see a good outcome, but I felt the trial seems fair from the court's perspective. Robert Torres, will Tampa, Florida get hit with a hurricane this season? I got yes, Five of Pentacles. There seems to be some trouble for Tampa. I'm not getting necessarily like it's massive, 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 but hurricane get hit with a hurricane, get hit in some way, yes. Sorry, I know this is really hard with Florida and the weather. Mary is the golden girl. Nate, do you see the jailed people in El Salvador being released? Not anytime soon. No. Will Pam Bondi face legal consequences for insider trading? Yes, but not anytime soon either. I feel like she will, when that happens, she will not be in her position, which could be next year. Like it could very well be that she's leaving next year. So we will have to wait for that. Let's continue here. Um, Bebo 7472. What, hello Nate, what will it take for the Republicans in Congress to turn on Trump? Will it happen in next year? I don't see that happening. I feel like they will lose their seats. That's happening, but I don't see them turning on Trump. Colin Wood, will Vance become US president this year? I'm gonna say I feel like he could very well become president this year due to Trump having some sort of surgery and it would become president like Kamala Harris was president for a short period of time. So yes, but not permanently. We're moving to Canada, uh, and that was a question from Angel Stone. What do you see concerning wildfires in northern Canada this summer? Yes, I see concerning wildfires in Canada this summer. Evacuations in northern territories? Yes. Start with Gina. How does the Canadian housing market look? Slow, not good for at least 8, 9 months. I feel like I don't see transactions. It feels slow. It feels frozen, the housing market, like no transactions. Ian Barton, will Pierre Poilievre win the election on August 18? He's running for Battle River Crowfoot. A lot not happy that the person that won't resign in order for Pierre to run. I feel like he will win. Poilievre, I feel like he will win, but I'm not. I mentioned that before. I'm not necessarily seeing him at the head of the party, or I feel like there's another person coming. Um, Moving to Mexico, yeah, a few international readings coming up here. Norali Martinez, how do you see the relationship between Mexico and the US? Mexico and the US. Hmm, not good. I felt like there's like a change coming. This is very karmic. I see death. I think we could even take that literally. Like there could be, like situations at the border with death. I feel like this could very well be. The Eight of Swords, I feel like it's just the two countries not really seeing eye to eye. I feel like there's going to be either like complete coldness or issues, um, but I'm not seeing good relationships. Europe, Susan Kelly, will Ireland's next president be male or female? I was at this moment, I feel male. We can reread on that, but I pulled the card and it was a male. Elzbieta Brzezinska, sorry for my pronunciation. I can see you're Polish, I assume. You're asking if the Polish elected president no Nowroki be sworn in August, and I'm getting a yes. Urban Dragon, a question about Serbia. There's been a huge student protest in Belgrade since last November against current president Alexander Vučić and his administration. They demanded that he steps down, which he's refusing, is aligned with Putin and Trump. What is the outcome of the months-long protest and the future of the country? Serbia, the future of the country. I get deaf again. And I shuffled. I'm afraid of those protests and how those protests will be handled. There's some good news coming at the end of all this with the sun and the star. So I almost feel like, yeah, and someone leaving. I almost feel like the pressure of those protests will create a situation, but it might take a bit more time. I don't get that it's soon, but there seems to be protests that take kind of a new dimension and clear the way for a better future. That's how I feel. But I don't feel like this is soon. It's a protest, it's a conflict that just gonna grow and grow and grow to some point something seems to happen. Like blowing up. Is Serbia going to join the European Union anytime soon? No, not soon. How do I see the future of Germany? This is Lizzie. How do I see the future of Germany under the current new Chancellor Merz? I don't see the economy being good. The tower. I feel like there might be even bankruptcies in German companies. A struggle, especially in the fall and the winter. Didi Ganavea, Didi Ganav, sorry, Didi Ganeva. What awaits Bulgaria in the next few years? There are protests against the introduction of the euro. Bulgaria in the next few years. Bulgaria in the next few years. Interesting, a money card. But I felt like the euro will come. Let's see more cards. Bulgaria. Yeah, they're looking out at the future. I think there will be the euro. Patience. So I feel like Bulgaria will get the euro and get into more of a stable situation. What will be euro do for Bulgaria? I think it's going to help the country in the end. I think it's almost like it makes it hard at the beginning and then there's a build up. The Middle East, Claire Barrett, um, situation in Gaza and Israel. I'm seeing ceasefire in Gaza, not soon, but coming. Israel, I see that the ceasefire will be broken, and on both sides, actually, for Gaza and Israel, ceasefires that are, it doesn't seem stable at all in Iran, and it won't be in Gaza as well. I see some hostages coming back that will be part of the expected ceasefire, but it's not stable at all, and it's going to go on until next year. What is the near future Lebanon? Lily Arnaut, future of Lebanon. They're looking out for the future. I almost get a sense of rebuild, a little bit of money. That seems like positive, and a positive change wheel of fortune. Patience, again, but I get this sense of a rebuild. So that's good news. Russia, will Putin be gone at the end of 2025? Meshach is asking that question, and I'm getting a yes. I see something wrong with Putin, and I discussed that on my collaboration with Violetta. She mentioned, not me, but she mentioned some AI Putins coming up. Like they will try to bring um, photos of Putin, but it's actually going to be AI. Um, Auntie Vaughn, she's asking if the Ukrainian Orthodox Church will be absorbed in the Russian Orthodox Church. I see them resisting. I see them resisting. I don't see them, yes, fighting. So I don't see them being integrated, but a lot of resistance. Sterling Roses, we're moving to Asia. Um, about Kim Jong-un. There's something really bizarre with Kim Jong-un, and I feel that it's exactly like Putin. They're using a series of sometimes AI, sometimes double, a double. And yes, the sister is working the rain in the background. I don't know if he's dead or not. It could very well be, but there's like they're using it's not really if he's not dead, it's not well. And they're using like a combination of AI and doubles. MLMV, a reading on the Philippines, um, particularly the VP, will it be arrest? So let's just do a reading on the Philippines. MLMV, what's happening in the Philippines? I see a lot of battling. Queen of Cups, emotional, something behind the scenes, struggles, lots of struggle that I can see ahead in the Philippines. I feel like there's a corruption. Will the VP be arrested and sent to La Hague, The Hague? I don't get that. I feel there's a lot of things going on in the background that prevent this. Okay, a couple more questions now to close. Two questions to close. Three, actually. This is Hope Riley. Many spiritual speakers are talking about a paradigm, a new paradigm happening where money and power will begin to peaceful, and those that look at the monetary will learn lessons of love. I fully believe that. I have heard we would become a more loving and less materialistic society. Absolutely. Do you see this? Absolutely. Is that a part of why our political system is extreme? That's not why the current political system is extreme. We're coming to a complete end of this way of thinking that's not working. Like the materialistic world only where money rules everything is not working. That world will change to a world where there's still money and there's still enterprise, but a lot of attention and focus is being given to love, compassion, meaning, animals. I talk about that, nature. This has to deal as well with the combination of the complete change of regime that we're seeing now. Putin, Netanyahu, Trump, uh, Kim Jong, all of those people, to leave kind of a new generation that will be more of a different mindset that includes the protection of nature. Okay. So yes, we're not there, but this paradigm shift is coming, and we as human elevate. But everyone has to see the truth. That's also why we're here. One more question, two more, and it has to deal with. Just give me a second. 1968 satellite that has long thought dead started to transmit recently. Did the ETs have anything to do with this? So it's a 1968 satellite that has long thought dead started to transmit recently. Did the ETs have anything to do with this satellite? Very old satellite that usually pass their kind of life. Oh, two cards flew. Seven of Wands and Four of Pentacles, but that doesn't answer my question. Did the ETs have anything to do with this? An 1968 satellite. Why is it working again? The Eight of Pentacles is a card of work. Something. Oh, the lovers. So this is like someone, I would say the ETs could be, well, those people that connect with it. It's not us. It's like it's paired with something. Knowledge with the Hermit. I get this sense that it's an extra, it's not the humans, it's an extra form that is able to connect with this satellite, and that's connecting with it's almost like it's a different form of energy, which is very interesting because I'm getting a lot of cards of love, of compassion. So this could be people that come with good intentions. Okay, ETs with good intention that are just trying to reconnect with us, creating connections with us. Yeah, the lovers would be that energy. I felt like this is a future trend of ways the ETs communicate with us using extra communications that we created. That would be the that first card. We created those, we worked on, we created those devices, and they communicate with us via reaching out to those devices. It's just like I'm not sure we can interpret what they're saying just now, but it feels to me like there's an effort to connect with us. Okay. Final question, very important one. Lorianne, Nate, do you think AI will be useful in translating the vocalization of whales and dolphin, clicks, whistles, and calls? Absolutely. And I feel like AI will also not just whales and dolphins, animals, dogs, cats. I predicted actually it's my in my January 2025 predictions that there will be elements of AI that help us communicate with our pets. And that will just be amazing, amazing, amazing. And that's coming like direct communication and translation, like a Google Translate for pets. Since you mentioned whales, I wanted to let you know that my project, the Voice of the Whales Oracle, is this summer coming into light. Voices of the Whale Oracles. 40 oracle cards with the whales. I can show you a few here. Um, this one, this one, this one. And if you want to know more about this project, there's a link. You can't buy it just now. At some point, it will be available for sale this summer, but you can also already register to know more about the project and be on the project page. This is a project that I'm very happy about. This one says knowledge with a whale getting into a library. Finally, before I say thank you, I know you've spent a lot of time listening carefully with all these questions, but I wanted to say who won the previous predictions readings, and it's Victoria UH7DY. Victoria UH7DY, and I would put your YouTube name down below this video. Contact me by email, you'll get a free reading. And of course, if you want to make win a free reading, you like, you subscribe, and you comment, and you entered automatically. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for being with me. I'll see you soon on the channel. Thank you.